What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review, a little discussion on Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, on my last two reviews for the prequels, for Episode 1 and 2, I basically went through a fairly long list of things that I heard the majority of people complaining about. And then I either concurred with you, or I gave a reason why I thought it still worked, or I did both. I kind of concurred with you and understood, but I could kind of let a lot of stuff go in context of the movies as a whole franchise. So with this one, I really don't have a long list of complaints that I agree with. Because honestly, I think most people's complaints about this movie are totally unjustified. In my opinion, this is one of the better Star Wars films, honestly. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I love the original trilogy. But this is up there in my favorite movies, Revenge of the Sith. Star Wars movies. Now, let me just say the two complaints that I've heard other people say, and I agree with, I will put out there right now and get those out of the way. First, the no at the end and all that with Vader. Alright, definitely came across as cheesy. I liked his movements out of a lot of people don't like his Frankenstein kind of movements. But I feel like he's like a newborn baby. This is his first time with these robot legs and these robot arms and this breathing apparatus. So he's clunky. I like that. But I don't like the whole what happened to Padme. No, I didn't like all that. I felt like at that point that he's gone full on dark side, he shouldn't even care about Padme anymore. I know that was his love. That's why he went to the dark side, to save her life. And now he finds out he went to the dark side for no reason whatsoever. But at the time of his death, he was under the impression that Padme betrayed him with Obi-Wan. So if he still felt that hatred and that anger towards Obi-Wan, I feel like he would still have anger and hatred towards Padme as well. And I feel like he wouldn't have cared so much that he killed her or that she was dead. Would he have cared? Yeah. But to the point with the whole dramatic scene they had at the end? No. I think that should have been left out. And what I think should have been put in its place is Vader coming out and then saying to the Emperor that this suit is not right. And then having him tinker with it and perfect it. Because look, they built him up in the first movie, the second movie, as this pilot. And in the first movie, more so than the second movie, as like an engineer, as someone who's good with mechanics, good with his hands. He built C-3PO, for Christ's sake, when he was 10 years old. So why did you not put that back into play and have him either designing the suit? Maybe we don't have him in that suit in that last scene. Maybe we have him all messed up looking in like some weird different suit that obviously isn't going to keep him alive for very long. And we have him tinkering and making his suit or fixing his arms and his legs so that they're not so stiff. That would have been an amazing ending. So, yes, I have complaints with that ending and that no, I liked seeing Vader at the end. And I like that we finally, we got that in Revenge of the Sith. We saw the transition, and then we got Vader at the end. I liked it, but I didn't like the way it was done. So I agree with you guys on that one, that it should... Look, I don't think they should have taken out the Vader stuff altogether. They should have kept it in there. But they should have done it different. It shouldn't have been a dramatic... Look, at that point in the movie, we've gone past the point of feeling bad for Anakin. And there is no turning back at that moment for Anakin. He killed children. He killed women. He killed defenseless people. It's not like he went up against well-seasoned and well-trained Jedi and cut all of them down. Maybe he could come back from that. But not from killing the younglings and all that, right? So at that point, he's no longer a sympathetic character. We felt sympathy for him throughout the whole trilogy, throughout that whole Revenge of the Sith movie at the very least. So they shouldn't have ended it with that dramatic moment on Anakin. It should have been, he's not Anakin anymore. Now he's Vader, and now he's all about cutting the Jedi down and killing them all. That's what we should have ended on, because it would have bridged us nicely into A New Hope. All right. So yeah, that's that one. And then I have a problem with them not, and this was really a general problem over all three movies. Not really the first one, because they showed this in the first one. But there wasn't enough of Anakin being an amazing pilot. There was some in episode 2 and 3. But there wasn't much. And then in not showing him with his robotics. I felt like he should have built his first hand or something. I don't know. I just felt like that was lacking from his character. And I do understand there was a lot to show, a lot to tell, a lot of story in Revenge of the Sith. But all it is a throwaway scene of him tinkering with his hand. Or you just do the end scene reworked, like how I just said, and then that throws in the robotics and all that, and it makes us feel like this is the same character we met in episode 1. Because that's a little bit of a detachment. By the time we get to episode 3, he doesn't feel 100% like the same Anakin they were going for and introducing us to in episode 1. Alright, that being said, let's move on. I love this film. Everything about it. I love the action. I love the performances. I love the CGI in this one. The story to me is amazing. The way Palpatine really gets at Anakin and gets him to basically turn dark, to me is not only a masterful plan on the Emperor's part, but it worked. And it worked really well. And if I was the arch villain who is cruel and evil and wanted to take over the entire world, the galaxy, yeah, maybe I would do the same thing, because honestly, it was effective. It was an effective way to trick Anakin into trusting you, and then into betraying his family, friends, and order, and then ultimately in betraying his loved one, in Padme. So I just thought it was amazing. I love Ian McDormand's portrayal of the Emperor in this movie. There's one or two things I might have changed with his facial expressions or such, but for the most part, enjoyed it. Okay. So that opening scene with Count Dooku, I thought that was great. Because the way they leave you in episode 2 is that Dooku gets away, so you think that Dooku is going to be like the Vader or the Darth Maul of the third movie. And he isn't. What he is a tool to be used by Palpatine and Anakin to help push Anakin towards that road where he will do anything to accomplish his goals. And that's all the Emperor's plan. And I love in the subtlety in Christopher Lee's performance when Anakin cuts his hands off, both of them I might add, and then he's about to cut his head off. And when Palpatine goes, "Do it!" First off, you hear a little bit of Emperor in his voice, which I loved. The way in this movie, not in the other ones, but in this one, you hear in Senator Palpatine, or Chancellor Palpatine, I should say, you hear every now and again in his voice, the Emperor start to creep out, because he's becoming more comfortable, because he's gaining more power, so he can start to kind of let loose who he is. And he doesn't really have to keep it a secret anymore. And I felt that his portrayal in this movie, Ian McDormand, it makes me feel that Palpatine is tired of hiding in the shadows. He no longer wants to keep it a secret, and he's having a hard time. Now that he's so close to finishing his goal, he's having a hard time keeping it inside, keeping the Emperor at bay. And I love that, and it's so subtle, and not a lot of people pick up on that. And I don't even think I picked up on it my first watch. You know, it was maybe on the 20th watch that I finally realized that that's what was really going on. And I just love it. I love it. The Emperor nailed it. And I love Anakin's portrayal. You really feel bad for him in this movie. I truly felt bad for Anakin throughout the duration of this movie, until he kills the younglings. Once he kills the younglings, I'm wrong. Once he kills Mace Windu, and then he's anointed Darth Vader, I stopped feeling bad for him. Because now I see in his eyes, in his face, that he is complete dark side. Even though there might be a little bit of that good Anakin in the back of his mind telling him not to do this, he is dark side all the way at that point. And there is no turning back. Even if those voices are still there is no turning back for Anakin at that point. I love that. And I loved how when he stops Windu and cuts his arm off and all that, he's going through something at that moment where he's saying that, okay, I understand, you're right, the Palpatine is bad, he's evil, but he needs to go to trial, he needs to be arrested. And basically what Windu is doing is betraying the Jedi, or the Jedi belief system. He's about to strike Palpatine down. And what Anakin does in that moment in his mind is still just. But then once Windu goes out that window, even though it was Palpatine that did it, it's like all of that justness gets shifted from here to here. And I loved it. And I saw it in Anakin's face. I think Hayden Christensen did a fantastic job in this movie. A little iffy in Attack of the Clones, but in this one, I think he did a fantastic job. And then we have Obi-Wan. That last fight with Obi-Wan and Anakin, forget about the action being amazing and the setting and all that being amazing, because it was. But that scene is so emotional and so poignant to their relationship in all the dialogue that's being said. Obi-Wan is spending the whole fight trying to get Anakin to stop and see what he's doing and correct himself. Of course, Obi-Wan fails in trying to do that. But it's like the whole time you're rooting, even though you know that Anakin is not going to listen to him and he's not going to go back to the way he was and he's not going to go back to the light. You're rooting for Obi-Wan to accomplish it. You're like, come on, Anakin, listen to him. This is your brother. This is like your uncle. This is like, like in a family member to you. Listen to him. And even though we know he's not gonna. That's good writing. It's good storytelling. It's good acting, in my opinion. So that was awesome. The whole, when Obi-Wan's like, don't do it. I got the high ground. Don't do it. And once again, Anakin, the problem with the dark side is that they let their rage consume them. So they make silly and stupid mistakes. Look, we can all relate. All of us have been angry at some point. And because of your anger, you do something that hurts you. Whether it be, an accident that happens because you're not paying attention because you're so angry. Or if it happens to be where you're focusing your anger on something and then, you end up yelling instead of talking, or slamming something, or punching somebody in the face. So we can all relate to letting your anger get the best of you. And that's the problem with the dark side, is they let their anger, their rage, consume them and control them. And that's what Anakin does. He lets his rage and his anger control him. He doesn't think, well, Obi-Wan's right. He does have the higher ground. And he goes and he jumps and he lets his hubris and his overconfidence think he's going to make it. He does it, and then I loved it. Obi-Wan, one swing, both legs and his good arm off. If you notice, at that point, all Anakin has is a torso, a burnt head, and a robot arm. So by the time he's Vader, robot, his lungs are all burnt and damaged from probably smoke inhalation and all that. So damaged, you know what I mean? Damaged. So he is more machine than he is man by the time we go into A New Hope. And that's what makes it so special when Vader has that moment where he turns back good in Return of the Jedi. Because even though he's more robot than man, and even though the dark side consumed him, there was still light in him. There was still Anakin in him. There was still human in him. And that's what allows him to turn back to the light, even if only for a brief moment. But that moment was long enough to destroy the Emperor, hopefully, maybe not, and to save Luke's life. So, I really enjoyed it. I don't have any complaints about this movie. I don't know why people don't put it in the best Star Wars movies ever. Before reviewing, this might change, but before I go and review the original trilogy, I'm going to be as bold to say that my favorite order of movies, and you can beat me all you want, is probably Empire, Sith, Revenge of the Sith #2. Then Jedi. I love Return of the Jedi. No matter how much hate it gets, I love it. Then A New Hope. That's probably my order right now at this moment. Okay? And then Clones, and then finally Phantom Menace last. I don't know where The Force Awakens fits in there yet, or Rogue One yet. Once I rewatch again, and by the time, we're done with May, I have an answer for my whole layout. But I love this movie all around. It's an exciting. It's emotional. It has a few moments of humor, but not many. Out of all the Star Wars movies, this is probably the most serious one. This one and Empire, probably the two most serious. But even Empire has its gags and its jokes, because, come on, Han Solo, Chewie, C-3PO, they're just classic comedy in Star Wars, even when they're not trying to be sometimes. So yeah, I mean, this movie is amazing to me. It had everything you want from Star Wars. Maybe not so heavy on weird creatures, but we had them. We had a great bar scene. We had some chases. We had some space stuff. Not much. And I think that was a lot of people's complaint with this one, was there wasn't a lot of outer space stuff in this movie. In Revenge of the Sith. But that's because this was more of a personal journey. This one, even though it tied into the whole galactic story and the whole premise of the whole franchise, it was a personal story about Palpatine, about Anakin, and about Obi-Wan. Really more about Anakin's relationships. That's what this one is about. Revenge of the Sith is all about relationships. It's all about Anakin's relationship with Obi-Wan, his relationship with the Jedi Council, his relationship with Padme, his relationship with Palpatine. It's all about Anakin's relationships. So it's a very personal movie. So I understand why it didn't take place amongst the stars, and it really was majorly on Coruscant, I believe. So, yeah, that's it. I like this movie. I don't know why everyone complains about it. My favorite moment in the whole entire movie is that last fight scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Even though I really want to say my favorite thing is the whole plot line with Palpatine and what he does to Anakin. But if I had to pick one specific thing, it would be the whole end fight. Not just Obi-Wan and Anakin. I didn't talk about this one, but Yoda and Palpatine, I love that fight scene. It shows you that, yes, Palpatine is tough and crazy and pretty gangster, but he's also a bit of a puss in a way. He's also a bit of a scaredy cat in a way. And it's pretty awesome how Yoda is the only one to instill, so far as we've seen, the only one to instill fear in Palpatine is Yoda. And it goes to show how powerful Yoda is, that everyone is afraid of him, everyone's scared of him. And I even think, even though we didn't show it in that last fight scene with Dooku and Yoda, Dooku is afraid of Yoda in that fight scene, even though he doesn't show it too much. But it just adds to Yoda's mythos. And I really would love to learn more about Yoda, his past, who he is, how he became Jedi, how he became Jedi Master Yoda, and all of that. How he became as powerful and knowledgeable as he is. I would really, really love to see that in animation or live action form. Any way you want to give it. I would even play a video game based on the Yoda storyline just to get that storyline out. So, yeah, that's my favorite thing. The whole end fight scene, I thought it was amazing. Yoda, Palpatine, Obi-Wan, Anakin, I loved it all. My least favorite thing in the whole movie, I would say, is that end scene with Vader. I already touched on that in the beginning, so I'm not going to get into that. So as an overall movie, honestly, I give this Star Wars, all that, I give it a 4.7 out of 5. It was near perfect to me. You change that ending the way I told you. You add a little bit more of Anakin's scientific engineering knowledge, and I think it pushes closer to 5. I didn't think there was a lot of performance problems with this one, like I feel with the other prequel movies. There are performance problems. There are glaring problems in the first 2 episodes. But this one, a lot less. Almost none, in my opinion. So, sound off down below. Let me know what you think about Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Do you agree with me? Do you have your own opinion? Is it totally different in my opinion? And let me know what you think about this video, the review in general. Anything I could change, tweak, do better, cut out, make shorter, anything at all. Any criticisms you have about my format of videos, please drop it down below. I do take all feedback into account. And if you comment, I'm 98% of the time going to comment back. Every now and again, I get lost in everyday life, and I may comment a little bit late, but all my comments usually get answered. It's not that hard when only 24 subscribers, right? All right. So like I said, sound off down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you like the content. Helps out the channel, helps out confidence. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Always appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.